You are powerful. You are compelling. You are inspiring. You are interesting. 10 years ago, in New York City, I was teaching a public speaking class, and as part of the process, after the students got up and spoke for 3 minutes without notes in front of the group, I would tell them an affirmation like that. You are powerful. And their job was to affirm back to me, yes, Ken, I am powerful. Yes, Ken, I am interesting. Yeah. And so this one gentleman gets up, he finishes his 3-minute talk, and I look at him and say, you are vulnerable. And he said, hell no. He says, I won't affirm that. I said, no, you are vulnerable. And he was like, I don't want to affirm that. And he argued with me. We went back and forth about the meaning of vulnerable. And it was really interesting because he refused to accept that vulnerability is strength. To be honest and open and real. To be that vulnerable is a capacity of the brave, of the courageous, of the adventurous. To be that willing to say, I don't know. I hurt. I need you to survive. I need you to shift the way I've been into something else. You know, vulnerability for many of us is that double-edged sword. And I'm going to bring notes today because there's so much I want to talk to you about. I don't want to miss some of those things. As we grew up as children, we found ways to protect ourselves from feeling vulnerable, right? We used our thoughts, our behaviors, our actions, and our consciousness to make armor that protects us from being hurt or ignored or discouraged. We developed ways of being that became a shield, right? And then we learned how to turn that shield into a sword and to use those thoughts and those behaviors to attack others before we would get hurt or feel vulnerable ourselves. And the most dangerous of all those, so we learned how to hide in that, dangerous of all those, so we learned how to hide in that armor. We learned how to disappear. And the truth of who we are vanished in all that. As truth students, it's you and I, everyone watching online, everyone that is listening to this now or later, it's time we live large and we live courageously. Live with purpose and connection. It is time to be brave. It is time to be brave because that's what we're called to be. And as conscious beings, we can turn those shields and we can turn those swords into plows. And we can till up the ground that we have trodden underneath us and find out what we're really here to do and be. Find out what is really ours to do and create something that's never, ever been created before. Now, I don't know about you, but that's scary. I know that you're here today, that I'm here today, that everyone listening to me are here because they know there's something more. There's something more than this life, than these bodies and these jobs and these roles and the way the world is right now. And that to explore this spiritual journey means that we don't know what's next. We don't know what the next step is or what life is going to bring us. But we're here standing on the edge together. Standing on the edge to say, I know there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way than what we're doing right now, than how I'm being. And that longing in your heart to change at core, that longing in your heart to know something else is scary. Because it means leaving behind things that we have loved and valued, or personalities that have gotten us to where we are right now. If that's you, like it is me, I invite you to take a deep breath and to go on this journey with me, to know that you are safe no matter what happens. You are safe enough. You are strong enough to be vulnerable, to say proudly, yes, I am vulnerable. Gay Hendricks talks about it this way. The goal in life is not to attain some imaginary ideal. The goal is to find our gifts and use them fully. Each and every one of you have a purpose in this life, right? You may have noticed that your parents told you, oh my God, you were same as you were when you were a child. You came out with these proclivities. You came out with this way of being that you have known your whole life. And yes, that is true. I can see it in my kids. I can see it in the patterns of my life. There has been a repetition of over and over. I've used the skills that I knew even as a child, and I use them to this day. But that sometimes is a personality that we may have brought from another life, a personality that we grew into in the family of our origin and the systems of that family that we managed to figure out how to survive. As JD and I are dealing with our 5-year-old right now who's very resistant to kindergarten, to put it mildly. I was having a conversation with his school counselor, and I said, I feel like he's just manipulating us all to get what he wants. And the counselor looked at me and said, well, Ken, all kids use manipulation to get their needs met. That's what children do. Right? They use manipulation to make sure that they're taken care of because they're incapable of taking care of themselves. And so I had to go away from the judgment of my own child to compassion for my own child as he struggles to get his needs met. And oh boy, minister, preach to yourself, please, in that moment. But we learn those patterns and behaviors of being from a very early age. And sometimes they become useful for us as adults, and sometimes they become detrimental to our true spiritual unfolding. And the key is to become aware enough to know that when a pattern has appeared in your life, to let it go when it no longer serves you, or when you're holding back, it's holding you back. Because we're all here in some form of evolution. Physically, biologically, spiritually, and emotionally. We are all evolving. Paul Hasselbeck and I have this argument all the time. Because Paul Hasselbeck is a unity absolutist. So absolute in the unity means the divine, the absolute. It is unchanging in the traditional unity teaching, unchanging the divine. Our prayers don't change God. Prayer changes us, right? God is constantly the good in our life, solid, unchanging. And I'm a process theologian. I believe that if we are evolving, that the divine must be evolving too. Because how could we be doing something that is not in the divine nature of love, of life itself? And if we are evolving as human beings, so the divine is evolving, and we are mirroring that process. So Paul and I still have that debate all the time. But I want to talk to you about those three matters. Physically, each and every one of you, at home, here in the room, each and every being on this planet started as a single-cell organism, where sperm and egg met, and boom, You're here. That cell divided and multiplied and changed and morphed until each and every one of you are sitting here from that single cell, able to take in all the words I'm saying, make your own meaning about it, think I'm crazy or off on my rocker or whatever, and make your own judgments about it. All from that supposedly happenstance happening of a sperm and egg meeting. Well, we know that there are no accidents, that truth is that you are here for this divine appointment. We hold that. For those of you online, there was sirens going by out front, and we know that that person or that individual's it was a police car, an ambulance, our love. So we send love to that situation right now. And then we get to choose. We get to choose how we physically evolve, right? We take medicines. We work out. We don't work out. We have cosmetic surgery. We get old gracefully or not so gracefully. All the physical evolutions that happen in our body are evolving. But human bodies, and we can witness it even in our own lifetimes, right, are evolving. We watch sports records getting broken and broken and broken because we are learning to do more and more things. Spiritually, we evolve from that little child who used the right words and the right behavior or the wrong words and the wrong behavior to get their needs met into the complex human beings that we are, where we still use manipulation and we still use the right words and the wrong words to get our salaries increased, to get our lovers to pay attention to us, to get our needs met. But we do it in a much more evolved manner. And spiritually, we get to evolve and understand that we are not the only ones on the planet. And we're not the only ones who matter. That we are one with the one, as the music team sang about, that we are one with each other. And that is more important than our individual needs sometimes. And we evolve spiritually to understand how we can subjugate our own needs for the needs of the other. And in the end, get our needs met even greater. That's the gift of spiritual evolution. And emotional evolution is just as important because emotionally, we can become a 5-year-old. I have witnessed myself do it last night. When I was on the level of yelling at a 5-year-old because he was yelling at me. It was a screaming match with a 5-year-old. I lost. Right? I always will lose. Always will lose. Because in that moment, what we can do is choose to understand our emotions and to internalize them and process them and shift them. And that is what we're really here to do, is to physically, spiritually, and emotionally evolve. Evolve beyond what has been before, evolve into something that has never been on the planet before. Maybe, if we believe the stories and the myths of the Krishna and the Christ and the Buddha, maybe that glimpse of consciousness has been in the world, but it hasn't been in my life. I was not taught as a child. My manipulations as a 5-year-old, when I was the 5-year-old, were not about being the Christ or an ascended soul. So how do I use that here and now? Gary Zukav in Seat of the Soul talks about it this way. Every action, thought, and feeling is motivated by intention. And that intention is a cause that exists as one with the effect. Take a second to understand that, right? That intention is as cause that exists with one with the effect. As we set our intention, we receive it right back, right? So when we're faced with adversity and hardship, get to check out what our intention is. what is our intention in the situation? Is our intention to mow over people? Is our intention to get our needs met at all costs? Or is our intention love? In Absolute Abundance Flight, our students and myself are tasked with setting an intention every day. And I've talked to you about this. Do you wake up and let life happen to you? Or do you wake up and let your intention lead the way through the day? It's your choice. It's your choice. How do you want to be in the world? How do you want the world to be to you? And in that evolution, as we set that intention, everything changes. That's how we evolve truly emotionally. Gary also goes on to say it this way. So I want to read this quote to you. This is from Seat of the Soul, which is about 30 years old now. Seat of the Soul was written 30 years ago. Can you believe that? It's been quite the journey. If you've never read Gary Zukav's Seat of the Soul, it's an amazing book. What is not learned in each lifetime is carried over into other lifetimes, along with new lessons that arise for the soul to learn. New karmic obligations that result from the responses of its personality to the situation that it encounters. The lessons that the soul has learned are also brought forward into other lifetimes. This is how the soul evolves. And here it is, personalities mature in time. So the soul evolves in eternity. Personalities mature in time. So the personality, that persona you took on to make it in this world, to be, matures, and we get, thank God, wiser. Right? Thank God. We get wiser so that the drama in the drama, let's leave it that way, the drama of our early life, of our teenage and early 20s, and that can subside as we learn and mature into how to be in the world. And trust me, I know 20-year-olds who are more mature than I am at my age. Let's just leave it at that, right? So it isn't necessarily about chronological age, but we also need to understand that our personalities are what we deal with on this human life, and what lies beyond is our soul and our soul's evolution in time. I don't want to wait anymore. That's what I'm talking about, standing on the edge of the precipice. I don't want to wait for the next lifetime to get this right. I don't want to wait for another life to learn the lessons of love and compassion and health and wholeness that I'm supposed to learn right here and now. That's why I came here. I think we all came here to learn the lessons. And if we didn't come to this earth to learn those lessons, we certainly came to Unity Church of San Francisco to learn the lessons of love, compassion, and life. Right? We learned that we are bigger. I am the light. I am the light. I am the light. We learned that we are bigger than any situation on the outside. We learned that there is more for us to do than we can ever imagine, and that we are capable of withstanding, embracing, and going through unimaginable pain, difficulty, struggle, with ease and grace. With ease and grace. Because guess what, folks? The world is going to keep turning around. People we love are going to die. People we thought we could trust will fall short and fail us. And how we respond, as I started this whole service with, how we respond is the most important thing. How we respond within us, how we pull up from within us what we need, and how we react is the most important, because that's what sets us apart. Sets us apart on the evolutionary goal of evolving to the Christ, Buddha, Krishna nature. That place where we can stand in the midst of the turmoil and be serenity and peace. Where we can stand in the face of adversity and stand in the face of accusations and be calm and serene, knowing that we are whole. And that nothing can disturb the calm peace of our soul. And I wish you would remind me that the next time my 5-year-old starts screaming at me. But until that moment, I am going to stand here and affirm and acknowledge and work at that evolution. Our dear friend Maya, who used to be a part of this community, Angelo, said it this way: you can't use up creativity. The more you use, the more you have, right? I would add to that. You can't use up compassion. The more you use, the more you have. It is not a finite quality. Compassion will only get you more compassion. And you cannot use up love. The more you use, the more you have. Love is not something we want to ever ration. Say that again. Love is not something we ever want to ration. That means if you are withholding love from someone or something, you are withholding it from yourself. You get that? You're withholding it from yourself. You get it? I'm seeing the nods. What you are withholding from yourself is that capacity of love. To be the loving person, you have to give it. Because to give is to receive. To be able to know that it is needed in the world and that you have more than enough. This may seem a lesson that I will repeat over and over until I get it, so buckle up, here we go. There is no shortage of love. What there is a need, a call for all of us to live in that divine purpose. So you came into this world, a miracle happened, you were born by a sperm and an egg, and you've come to this place here and now. You've gone through divorces, you've gone through job losses, you've gone through love losses, you've gone through struggle and diagnosis, and you sit here today. You sit here today and you have a choice to make. What is my real purpose? What is my real divine purpose? Why did that miracle happen? And my life has made it to this point. This is where we get to choose and live from this moment on. No matter our age, the 5-year-old or the 80 or 90-year-old sitting here with us today. Where do I go from here? How do I live the principles I say I intellectually know? That is where the rubber meets the road. I invite you all to really explore what it means to have a purpose in life. A divine purpose does not require a job. A divine purpose does not require an education or financial resources. The homeless person on the corner has a divine person. The CEO at the top of Salesforce Tower has a divine purpose. Those of us who can struggle to find it, to live in it, and to step into it, get the gift of an abundant life. When you live from your purpose, no one can take it away from you. No situation can take it away from you. No words said to you can take it away from you. No opportunity denied to you can take it away from you. For you are the master of your purpose. And in every situation, in every life, you can live it. So I ask you to play big. As Marianne Williamson wrote and said, your playing small does not serve the world. You were born to shine. You are a magnificent expression of life. You are powerful. You are compassionate. You are interesting beyond measure. You are vulnerable. You are real and honest. You are love in expression. You are magnificent. You are endearing. You are divine. Let's take that to our time of meditation.